Hi guys, welcome back to Bickering Bookworms. I'm Alexis.
I'm Kimberly.
We do a weekly book review, and this week's book is Warrior Princess Assassin by Brigid Kemmerer.
I do have a list next to me, so if you see me looking this way, I am referencing our list. So we're just going to start at the part one of the book. So our three main places in the book, like the kingdoms, is Incendar, Astranza, and Dagonis, I think is how you say it.
We can go with Dagonis.
Dagonis, I think that's good. It's some of these names, them fantasy books, they're hard to pronounce. So we open and Jory is being fitted for her dress for the marriage alliance that is being made between her kingdom, which is the Astranza, and Incendar. There is a ban on the fire in the kingdom. No fires can be lit in fireplaces to keep warm. No fire for kettles, nothing like that. Because the king of Incendar, he can pull and wield magic within a mile of his body, but he cannot pull it if there is no fire to be had. We keep having an internal thought of, where are you at, Asher? Please show up, Asher. But we don't really know who Asher is. All of a sudden, her brother enters her chambers while she's getting fitted for this dress. She's being poked with pins. It's freezing cold, and he's already irritated. Do not mess up this marriage alliance, because we find out that she plans to say no because I don't need no man. And she doesn't like being told what to do, but he's all over her. He's cruel. He's uninviting. He's just downright hateful almost. And do not mess up this marriage alliance. We need this for our kingdom. In this same instance, we learn that the reason we need it so bad is that their father is dying and he is not going to live very much longer. As everybody leaves her rooms and leaves her for the night, Asher does appear. He has been gone for months. And we finally learn the little bit of backstory about Asher. They are childhood best friends. He grew up in the castle with her. And one day, when they were traveling in two different carriages, Asher and Jory in one, and both of their mothers in the other carriage in front of them. Asher's mother was the queen's lady in waiting. The carriage is ambushed, and the mother, the queen is killed. One of the last things she says is, it wasn't supposed to happen this way. And that leads to speculation that the lady in waiting knew and helped plan this ambush. And so she is then executed, and her son Asher is exiled from the court. And in doing so, he is sold into slavery. Each time he escapes, he gets a mark on his face. There's an abundance of things right now about him that you do not know. Once he paid off his debt, he went into the Hunters Guild and is now an assassin. So how do we feel about the book thus far?
Okay, well, immediately I was like hooked from, I think, chapter 1.
Not even chapter 1, baby. I was in it from the halfway through the first page. I was hooked.
One thing I noticed about, I think, Brigid's writing is that she's able to like squeeze in a lot of information and it not feel so info dumpy. So I was immediately just kind of intrigued. And I do think this book is more of a political intrigue plot line. It's more scheming, and I really enjoyed that.
The information that's punched right into the very beginning, but it doesn't overwhelm you. I think that she gets that from her time as a YA author. This is her first adult debut book. And she really does the character building quickly and well.
What did we think about the characters?
I thought right out the gate that Jory was headstrong. Like, I am stubborn. I am not marrying a man because you tell me that I have to marry a man. Just knows that he is in a neighboring kingdom, that they have a common enemy, the Dragonis kingdom, and that they're going to benefit from allying with this kingdom.
There's like also rumors that his name is King Maddox, that he's super cruel. So she's like, I don't want to marry him because he's cruel. Immediately, I started getting horrible vibes about Prince Dane, which is her brother. You know right away he's going to cause some issues in the story.
And one person you see in that very beginning when she's getting fitted for that gown, other than the seamstress, is her, I guess, like her lady's maid.
Yeah.
Her name is Charlotte, and there's almost like, we speculated when we were reading that there's something off between Dane and Charlotte, like standoffish almost.
Lady Charlotte did not want to leave Jory, like, until she got permission from Jory. So immediately I was like, something's wrong with Dane. Okay, so we do have 2 MMCs, and we meet our first MMC, which is Asher. I will go on and mention that this book is a why choose. However, I think it's more of a polyamorous relationship.
A throuple.
Yeah, a throuple.
I love a throuple.
And immediately I was just hooked from Asher. I love a blonde haired love interest. The way he's described in the first like chapters is like there's a lot of references to shadows with him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like whenever I see a shadow in the passage, it just makes you wonder, is that Asher secretly doing something?
He's not super built. He's small. He's agile, but still lean. And like she said, he moves within the shadows. His hair is like almost silver white.
Yeah.
Both of our MMCs are a form of blonde, but he is like white blonde.
Which is refreshing from
yes.
the typical dark-haired, broody
yes.
character we get.
Yes. This is also where we learn a little bit of a backstory on their relationship as children. They had one instance growing up where they tried to be a little bit more, but then they were caught. And it kind of fizzled from there right before he was exiled. So they both love each other. It is clear from the get-go, but he has this mentality of, I am now no one and you are someone and we can never be together. So I'm not going to burden you down with that.
Yeah, it very much feels doomed. And I got frustrated with Jory because I felt Asher was trying to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt she was being a little bit selfish, but she's also naive and because she's also very sheltered.
She is.
But it does come across like she's a little bit selfish in the beginning.
Now, she does have a conversation with Asher about King Maddox and the coming marriage, of that she is scared, like in the bedroom, like, is it gonna hurt? Is it, she's worried because he's got this reputation of he's horrible to his own people in his own kingdom, as well as leveling battlefields. He's a warrior. So she kind of confides in him of her fear and that she would really just like to escape with him. And they kind of joke about it for a minute, but the last thing we see before we go to part 2 is when she wakes up in the morning, Asher has left her a maid's costume, because part of their joke from the night was before that she would sneak out to the stables and they would jump ship. They would leave.
Just run away together. We're going to jump to King Kai's POV, and he is traveling with his soldiers. They're on their way to the Estranza castle. It is cold. They notice there is no fire. It is very early in the morning, and they have been told to get there very promptly. At some point, their carriage gets stuck, and they run into this older man who just appears. And Kai is very leery because he does not trust the situation at all, mainly the fact that there is no fire. Realizing they're not going to make it in time, he and I think his, second in command, decide to ride on ahead and leave the other soldiers or warriors to basically deal with the carriage and just meet up with him. We're going to go back to Jory, and she has the bright idea to pose as a maid for the reason that her brother will not notice her because he doesn't pay attention to anyone beneath his station. And she just wants to get a good look at the man she's supposed to marry. She is obviously caught. Kai notices that Jory is spying on him, so he does kind of confront her, and they do have a little bit of banter. At some point, we see Prince Dane walk into the room, and he immediately notices his sister. And we have this interaction where he does threaten her, he kind of grabs her, and King Kai immediately kind of takes notice of the way he's gripping her arm. So he does get involved. And then, of course, her cover is blown. So now he realizes that he was talking to the princess, but he's not sure exactly why she was spying on him in the first place. Prince Dane orders Jory back to her room. He confronts her in her room, and he's just kind of railing at her. And then, of course, King Maddox is going to interrupt this moment, and he is going to want to speak with her alone. He thinks that she's just a spoiled, pampered princess because she wasn't involved in the negotiations. However, she didn't really have the option of being involved. So now he's even more intrigued, and he wants to get to know her, exactly what type of person he is. But he's also looking at Dane, I think, a little bit more suspiciously. And during this entire time, we have Asher just lurking in the shadows, and I love him. And he also is a little heartbroken because Jory does not, in fact, run away with him like she kind of hinted at, or she had mentioned that she wanted to do. She essentially is not going to leave her kingdom to suffer.
So when she is spying because she wants to see him for herself on her own time, they used to sneak through the castle when they were kids, so she knew she could get away with it. But whenever she does get caught, Kai is automatically like kind of grilling her on being a spy, and she gives it right back to him. And he thinks, wow, this is kind of bold for
a maid.
Yeah. Of course, that is until he finds out it's not actually a maid.
I understand why Kai would be suspicious, but at first, when we really were in his perspective, I didn't care for him that much. As a character, I don't know why he just didn't connect with me like Asher did. I think it's because he's just overly suspicious.
See, in another chapter from him before he goes to her rooms or her chambers, is he's having these internal thoughts of what if there's another reason she was spying and it wasn't to spy?
Yes.
What if there's something more here that I'm not seeing, and it has to do with like Dane? So he was like, I'm going to talk to her alone and see what to make of her.
And then we also like notice that he is nothing like the rumors that we hear. He considers him handsome, obviously, but he's just very kind. And that's one thing I noticed, that he immediately honed in on Dane and realized something is wrong with this situation. And just, he was willing to protect her right away. So
yes, he kind of, and he told her when he found out that she had no idea about the negotiations, that if he brought her a copy of the negotiations, that she could look everything over and strike anything she wanted to, add anything she wanted to, or just strike the whole thing and start over, if that's what she wanted.
So he's like a very admirable character, and I feel like that didn't connect with me at first, but then of course he is more than what we see, more than meets the eye.
He really does just want to help his people.
Yeah.
She sees that, and of course from the rafters, Asher also sees that.
I honestly just love that Asher is always hanging around somewhere. Like, it just really adds to his character. Like, he's just mysterious.
When she starts to realize that Kai is not the all evil encompassing person that she was told that he is.
She's not so hesitant in the marriage.
Yeah, she's not. Like, she's really looking for like, oh, here's an alliance that it will help us both, and she's more kind of on board.
Yeah,
and I think Asher is a little upset about that. Like, oh, he comes in here and talks to you once, and now you're ready to go.
Yep.
He's upset because the night before he was saying like, I'll find you anywhere to protect you.
Yeah.
And now she's fully ready to jump into that boat.
And that also kind of frustrated me too, because again, Asher was trying to keep his distance so neither of them get hurt. And then the whole time she's kind of pushing this, I don't want to say relationship with Asher, but she is, I think, wanting to push it, or at least push that boundary. And then it's like the moment a new person shows up, it's like, okay. It's kind of like, well, that was Asher's point.
Moving on, the next several events that happen, Asher goes back to the guild because, as we know, and as she has stated, that he's been gone for longer than normal, which means he's also been gone from the guild longer than normal. So he goes back. He did complete his task on the last one, but was not back when expected. He goes back to the guild, and he talks to the girl in the cage that handles all of the coin and all of the orders and all of the jobs. He talks his way into getting 2 sealed jobs. That the way they're sealed is usually held for more of the senior hunters, the senior hunters. And so he goes to the far side of the guild, and he opens these letters, and he finds out immediately that there's 2. The first order is for King Maddox, and it is paid for and stamped with the Royal Astranza seal. Meaning Dane has paid in full for this, and the guildmaster is very prevalent about making sure that it's legit. So we know that this is from Dane. And then he opens the second one and finds that it is for Princess Jory, paid in full with Incendrin gold. The woman in the cage tells him that he has until midday to get these kills done, or they're going to send another hunter out in his place to make these kills, and the other hunters will not stop. They will complete the task. So what he does is he immediately goes to Jory and tells her, before we go see the interaction between those 2, you get a little POV from King Maddox, and he's in his room. His men are resting. He's awake, walking around. He has one other person up with him keeping guard, and he keeps noticing little shadows in the window. Anytime there's a shadow, I think it's Asher. So, and it usually is. He's probably spying. It's not really alluded to that was him, but I have a funny feeling it was. So he sees and hears little taps from above him, and he's going, "What is that?" I think it was him. So then we snap. So we know he's in there just talking to his guard. They're kind of hanging out. Everybody else is relaxing. And then we jump back to Asher, and he shows up in Jory's room, and he basically says, "Hey, we've got to leave now." And she refuses because I can't leave my kingdom, and I can't leave Kai. He is a good person. We cannot leave him behind. So what do? They try to kidnap him. And so then we flash back down to Jory shows up at his door and is like, "Hey, I need to talk to you alone." So he sends all of his guards out into all the guards that had woken up into the hallway to kind of keep guard. He makes a joke because he disarmed last time they were alone, so she felt safer. So he jokingly said, "Do I need to disarm every time that you speak with me?" And she said, "Yes, if you don't mind." So he obviously goes ahead and he starts disarming because I'm powerful and I don't think you're going to do anything. Well, then little we know, up in the rafters, there's Asher again, and he drops from the ceiling, chokes the dude out, basically, with a rope, and he's got him on the ground, and they basically hog tie him. Well, in the process of this, here comes that guy that was still asleep in the back room that we forgot about, and he comes out. He's trying to sneak up on Asher, but Asher's Asher. He swings up on the rafters again and takes him out, and it looks like he kills him. This is where Jory sees a part of him that she never knew existed, and she's stunned.
Yes.
But they do indeed kidnap the king, and they go through various little tunnels and hideaways in the castle until they make it out the sewer drains. Asher wants to leave Kai behind because Kai is fighting, and he does not want to go anywhere. He's digging his heels in. Jory ends up begging Kai to, "Hey, I'm really trying to help you. Please, just come on. If you want to come, please follow. If not, we'll just leave you here." So they start to walk away. Kai does follow. They end up in a cottage with absolutely no plan, and it is freezing. So they do end up conning Asher into letting them make a fire, even though Kai can manipulate it. But he sees how cold Jory is, shivering on the floor trying to sleep, that he cannot help it anymore. His guilt wins over, and they let him make a fire. As Jory sleeps, this is where the author starts to build the tension between Asher and Kai. This is the first instance that you see it. And they kind of talk back and forth quietly, trying to keep warm until Asher kind of falls asleep for a little bit. And when he wakes up, Kai is looking at him, and he's like, "Dude, I have needs that need to be met, and I'd rather not have that happen in here against my will. I'd rather go outside and meet those needs." So this is like the most tension that you see in the book this early.
Right.
It is because he has got his hands tied and Asher's not willing to untie him. He has to basically de-pants him to and free him to take care of his needs. And there is these thoughts going on in Asher's mind of, "Man, I really don't want to be doing this, but why am I having these other feelings that I'm having?"
This is where I was just really tearing through the book because, one, we get the whole kill order with Asher and, his targets being both Jory and Kai. And I'm like, this is where the political intrigue really comes in. And I'm really into that. Once they kidnap King Kai, they're all kind of confronting each other because it's like everyone's pointing the finger of who made these kill orders.
Kai swears up and down that they did not pay for the kill order on Jory. That he wants this for his people, and he has no reason, and none of his men have any reason to have made that order. But then that begs the question of, well, who did? Because while the King's has a seal, though Jory swears up and down that Dane wants this just as much as everybody else does, that he wouldn't do that, it does have a seal. It has the King's seal on it.
Kai feels betrayed at this point.
Yeah.
Because he was trusting of Jory, and again, like, he knew how unwilling she was at first to go along with the alliance. So it's kind of like they kind of build this very quick rapport, and then immediately Jory does kind of break it, even though they did have a legit reason. So there's a lot of conflict between all three of them, honestly, at this moment.
Yes, and Asher is just straight untrusting tenfold.
Yeah.
He does not trust him. He does not like him. He does not trust that he has Jory's best interests at heart. And And there's just a lot of mistrust going on right now.
And I think for Asher, that was some jealousy too.
Yeah.
Because he immediately noticed how quickly Jory yielded to Kai, but then Asher himself yielded to Kai. I did not think that the romance was going to go the way it did, but I actually appreciate it. Like, I don't know. I liked seeing the dynamic between the two men.
When I got to this point, I was like, oh, I thought that the book was going to be a why choose and a throuple because, like, it's what she wanted.
Right.
Like, she brought them together. But it's kind of everybody brought everybody together.
Yeah.
I really think there was just a lot of tension in that last scene where he takes him outside, that he's starting to have some internal struggles on, because he has a lot of traumatic past he's got to deal with too, that's lingering in there with these feelings that he's having about Kai.
So then we're going to jump back to Asher is done helping Kai and Jory is still sleeping. In this moment, Asher and Kai do kind of have a little heart to heart, I think, where Kai suspects that there's, like, he's trying to figure out the relationship between Asher and Jory, but then he's also trying to figure out Asher himself. Like, how did you learn to become an assassin? And Asher opens up and tells him a little bit of his past. Kai is able to trick Asher into basically letting him loose.
He tricks him by using manipulation and promising him safety and security.
Right, which is something that is really big for Asher, because he's like, I really don't have a place in the kingdom. I didn't carry out the orders from the Hunters Guild, so I have nowhere to go after this. And he did kind of risk a lot of that for Jory. Kai makes that promise, and then of course Kai breaks that. Well, he uses that against him. And that's really all it took for Asher to let him go. So he tackles him, and then he signals for his people to, I guess, let them know where he is. They all kind of meet, and then he drags Asher back to the castle, and then, of course, forces Jory to ride on the horse. And they're going back to the palace at this point. When they get back to the palace, Asher is immediately thrown into the dungeon, and he is branded. Jory is kind of like confronted by both her father and Prince Dane. This is also the first time I think we've seen the father, and I'm still very suspicious of him. They bring Asher out from the dungeon, and it is very clear that something has happened to him. Jory's kind of pleading with Kai, like, you've got to do something. And she's also upset with Kai in this moment because she knows that, of course, Kai lied to him. Kai negotiates for Jory to come to his kingdom and basically spend time with him. You know, if you're to marry me, I want to get to know you. And in that negotiation, he also gets Asher. I also do think he was trying to do the right thing and get Asher away.
Whenever Asher's branded, because the whole way back to Estranza, Jory is saying, you cannot take Asher before my brother, because she was afraid, I think, they were going to kill him.
Yes.
And so when he's branded, he's basically rebranded into slavery, being sold back to the slavers. But Jory doesn't understand truly what being sold to the slavers means.
Yes. She keeps calling them indentured?
Which they are. They're indentured servants is what they are, but they are not treated just as indentured servants.
Yeah.
She thinks that what being an indentured servant through the slavers is that if you have done a crime, you go and you work for these slavers, whether it be hard labor or working in, doing whatever your slaver needs you to do just to pay off your debt.
Right.
And that is very much not what happens.
They make his, I guess whatever he would pay it back, they make that super expensive, and it's like he'll never pay it back.
It was like 1 million golds, I think.
And Kai is like, I will pay it. I will take him. So,
well, Kai says, that is not yours to make. His crime was against me. I'm taking him. And there's a little bit of an argument between Dane and Kai on that, but Kai does win because he is technically right. Yeah. Jory is still in denial. No, our kingdom is good. Our slavers are good. They're doing the work of the kingdom.
Yeah.
Nobody starves here, which she's right. To a point, in her eyes, they don't starve like many others do. but it's not all rainbows and sunshines like she thinks.
We see Asher break. It's like, I'm gonna go right back to where I was. Like, he has no hope. He completely hates Kai too. And even though Kai, in a roundabout way, does rescue him, he is still pissed because he's like, you're just going to do the exact same thing that's been done to me. Especially after Asher opened up to him. So yeah, you really felt for Asher.
He really thinks that he well and truly is back in slavery, and he thinks he's going to be treated as such too. So in this next part, we really see the breakdown of the characters, especially Asher, and how their relationships start to bind together. So as we have said several times, Jory is very naive. On the travel to his kingdom, as they're leaving Estranza, she and her lady's maid Charlotte are in their own carriage, and she's very much like crossed arms, pity party. I'm not doing anything you want me to do because I am on strike. Like, she's just throwing a little fit because she doesn't want to go, and she's really upset that she got tricked, and it irritates me because didn't you do the same thing when you kidnapped him?
Yeah.
The very first thing you see out of Asher is just Asher being Asher, and he keeps trying to escape at every left turn. What does he do? He breaks the inside of the carriage, and gets his hands uncuffed, and then he uses the chain at their first stop to get food and housing for the night. He uses that chain to try and choke out one of Kai's soldiers. But Kai brings him to heel, just with his words, and something about the way that he says Asher's name almost just gets him to stop. There's something about Kai that intrigues Asher to the point that he can't explain it himself. But he's very much in the role of slave at the moment. They ask him if he wants a mat when they go inside, because that is what the slaves usually have. And Kai is confused by this because he doesn't know what all this means. Also got Jory out of the carriage because she was like realizing that if she didn't get out of the carriage, people weren't going to get to eat. His soldiers weren't going to get to eat because they weren't guarding her carriage. So she gets over her pity party and goes inside. This is where we see the breakdown of Asher as a slave. He immediately sits on the floor next to the table. They're like, what are you doing? Get up here. And he's like, no, I'm not allowed. And across the room, you also see another woman sitting on a mat who is obviously a slave, sold as a sex slave. When Kai offers him food and drink, he doesn't really know what to make of it. He does eat it, and he keeps having lapses in like where he kind of wants to freak out because he's being set back in his old life in the present.
Jory, like, she's completely shocked that this is happening in her kingdom. She has no idea that he would not be allowed to sit at the table.
Obviously, this burn on his back is also super sensitive, and it's bleeding through his shirt, and they need to get it taken care of. And every time that somebody goes to touch him, he cringes away. He's done that the entire book. He doesn't like being touched, and that's because of his past trauma. One touch from Kai on his neck makes him come to halt. They end up moving to a more private place so that the things that are happening can be discussed, because they looked at his burn on his back, his brand, and it was very inflamed and irritated.
I think it was seeping.
It was seeping. So they take him up to one of the rooms that the establishment had gotten made for them, and Jory sits down with him, and Kai basically makes Asher tell her about his past and all the things he's lived through that she doesn't know that has happened. Finds out that he worked in brothels. He was beaten and raped on several occasions in several different manners. Everything had a cost attached to it. If you needed clothing, it costed you. If you wanted to eat, it costed you. And every little thing that you needed it kept you in debt. So eventually, having worked his way up and taking as little as he could, he paid off his debt, but not without acquiring all the scars and trauma that he has. And now Jory finally understands why he always shied away from her touch. They all kind of go to sleep for the night, and Asher is handcuffed to Kai. And I just love that. When he was fighting out in the parking lot, that's when that happened. He was like, if you can't behave yourself, you're attached to me now. Asher wakes up and notices that Kai is slightly awake, but right as he realizes that, he sees a shadow. And if you know anything, shadows usually mean hunters. So he sees the shadow, and he is immediately on high alert. And so 2 hunters have now attacked their group, and Asher, one-handedly, mind you, saves everyone, including Jory when he put himself in front of the knife.
I honestly love seeing Asher just be the assassin character. I think she does it and writes it so well.
I love an assassin character. It's my favorite.
And I honestly felt like watching him do it, you're on the edge of your seat.
He's kind of witty about it at times, too. Like, he's got, like, an ego. Like, he knows he's good at it.
Yes.
And it almost makes him hot. Like, again, for lack of better words. I could not pick one or the other for most of this book once they were all together, because I am not Team Kai or Team Asher. I am Team them.
I do think that she's already building this dynamic between the three of them. By the time you get to the end, it's like, this is how it needs to be. We don't have to pick one. I really enjoyed digging into Asher's past.
Yes. It almost, like, when you read it, it almost hurt you as the reader to feel him feel it.
That he didn't want Jory to look at him any different. And it's like, the moment I reveal this about myself, you're not going to unsee it. And then I'm not going to be the Asher that you always knew.
I think she sees him in a new light. And while he thinks that she sees him as broken, and she might a little bit, because he sees himself as broken, I think, sees him more as a survivor and strong for what he's gone through versus, oh, he's broken.
Jory, like, finally sees what her kingdom, like, the truth of her kingdom, and then she takes immediate action to one, try to get that woman that she saw on the floor. She tries to immediately, I think, figure out how much is her, like,
her debt,
and I will give her all the money, that we need to.
And she does. She gives money to Charlotte, but then Kai was like, told Sev, his second in command, he's like, make sure Charlotte has all the money that she needs to pay off that woman's debt.
Yeah.
So at this point, they have traveled. They keep stopping along the way, and, like, you see little interactions between Asher and Jory that are kind of tense because they're trying to rebuild that relationship that they had before he let everything loose. You get a couple little instances between Kai and Jory where you see their dynamic starting to pull together. I think Jory is starting to realize that this is actually a good thing that they're going, that she's feeling like she's kind of out from under Dane's thumb, out from under the kingdom's thumb. As they approach his kingdom, they are met at the gates by angry villagers who are basically coming with pitchforks, saying, look at the state of the kingdom. You have to see what you've done. They think that the desecration of the land and the crops is due to their king, and that he brings fire and ruins everything. And it's making their people starve. They don't have food. They don't have, like, the proper resources, and people are dying. Now, little do the villagers know that is not Kai's fault. We know that Kai can draw on fire and he can manipulate fire, but once it is started, if it catches something, he can't put it out with his magic. It will spread. We see him teaching her little bits of magic, and she even sparks a couple times that she didn't know that she could do, and it kind of gives her hope. Do not eat my hair. But she never really, not even in this book at all, she doesn't really call power. So I'm sure at some point down the road, maybe there will be power that she has, but in this book it is non-existent. She just has little sparks that she can call with his help. As they are traveling, they come upon a nomadic village, and these are nomads that Kai knows of. They keep a wide berth. They do not like people. They're very to themselves and set in their old-timey ways. But the nomadic village is on fire, and he can't not, and Jory really does tell him, we can't not help them. So he does make note that this could be a trap. And so they go and they help anyway, and it does end up being a trap. They do save a lot of people, but in the end, a Dragonish soldier is hiding out in one of the huts and attacks Jory. She does learn how to stab people with a knife. She does learn to defend herself a little bit, and she uses that training to stab him in the leg. That kind of tells them, okay, this was within our borders of the kingdom, so we need to be careful. We let our guard down too soon, because just because we're within our borders doesn't mean that people and enemies cannot get in. Well, now they make it to his castle, in his kingdom. And he kind of tells them, there's not a lot of people here. You're gonna want to show you to your rooms. You guys stay put until I come get you, and we'll have dinner tonight. Well, do they listen? No, because do they ever? They go out searching for him, and they actually end up finding him in his sister's room. We find out pretty quickly that the princess is not all there cognitively. She is also able to manipulate fire, but hers is not practiced like Kai's is. She cannot control it because she doesn't have control very well over her own mind. If she sparks magic, it can happen anywhere in the kingdom. There is no rhyme or reason to it. And they think it is speculated that she is the reason for the fires on the crops and fields and everything. But there's nothing he can do about it because he can't put those fires out. He is very upset that they have wandered out of their room and found his sister. And he kind of goes to have words with them, but things kind of take a turn and they end up going and having a chat in the garden. Sir,
you can put him down.
We're going to put you in the floor. In this scene is where things turn from angst to spice. And baby, it is spicy.
Yeah.
It gets spicy real quick. It is descriptive. And she, even though this is her first adult debut, she does it well. She does it very well. It is not cringy. It is not overdone. It is just perfectly right. It gets very spicy before they decide to end it there and move back to his own bedchambers, where it does escalate to more things between Kai and Asher. We're not going to go into that. We'll spare you the details, but that's what happens.
A lot to look forward to in book 2, though.
Yeah. After the spicy scene, they're kind of all sleeping in the bed, and Asher's having this internal thought of, I've been sleeping next to the king for days, and you think that I've gotten used to it by now, but this is just all so new. And then he notices a shadow. And lo and behold, it is hunters. And so the king tries to come to the rescue. He tries to use his fire, and he sets fire to their tapestries over the windows. And so the room's going ablaze. He set one of the hunters on fire. He is crisp now. He's crispy. And so there's fire everywhere. He tells Asher, get her out of here. King Kai goes off to look for guards and stuff. And Asher ushers Jory out. Well, they get into the hallway, and down the hall they realize there's no guards. And he's like, well, I bet you Kai has already figured that out, and he's going to deal with it. But about that time, here comes another hunter, and with him is Charlotte. So we immediately think Charlotte's in danger because there's a hunter, but she's not. She's actually the one that probably helped them along the way. She has told them now, as it has come out, that she is not on their side. I don't think this was her choice. I think it was by Dane's hand. That she was told to leave breadcrumbs, which was her articles of her clothing. She left along the way so the hunters could follow them. She is essentially killed. The other hunter is killed. She is murdered, rightfully so. I'm so sorry. I know some people liked her. We don't deal with traitors here. We now know that Dane is the culprit of everything, and Charlotte has told them that Dane has partnered and allied himself with Dragonus to kill King Kai, and in the process bring Jory back home.
I love the way this book ends, because now we have an alliance between the three, and I just want to read this quote to you real quick. But then Asher speaks at my back, his voice like a cool wind. If you only need to kill the prince, he says darkly, you don't need to go to war. You don't even need an army. What do we need, says Kai. Asher steps forward out of the shadows behind me. He looks between us and then puts his hand on top of ours. You need a hunter. And that honestly was one of my favorite moments of the book, because
it was flawless.
They are full-blown couple now, all three of them, and essentially it leads up to more political intrigue, but I think we're going to get a lot of action with Asher in the next book.
Just that last sentence left me chills, and I did not know that was the last sentence of the book until my eyes skimmed over to the acknowledgement page, and my flabber was gassed at. I was like, are you kidding me? That's all?
Yeah, it definitely does end on kind of a cliffhanger, because it's now What are we going to do? I will say I was actually sad to see Lady Charlotte go, where she and Jory become friends.
Yeah.
And Jory started to think of her as a friend.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like when she's murdered, it's like there's no like resolution with that. It just kind of happens, and you as the reader are forced to just kind of move on with it.
My first thought whenever I closed that book was, oh, baby, Dane, you better watch the hell out in the next book.
The next book is called Captive Traitor King. And if you read the book, you kind of know like where the characters are going to fit in as far as that title. So
you kind of already can fill in the blanks on who's going to be who.
Right. I would probably give it a strong 4.5 out of 5 stars for me.
I thought you were about to say out of 10. I was like, baby, get off the couch.
No.
This was a 10 out of 10 stars for me. I ate this book up so fast.
Yes. For next week, we are going to do our review on Akamath, or A Court of Mist and Fury.
This is going to be where you see our friendship come to the brink of war.
I wouldn't say war. Just a strong disagreement. We'll start arguing at some point during the video.
Oh, we will. There will be an argument. We're civilly...
We're civil.
We civilly disagree.
Yes. But I'm still right.
Semantics.
Thank you.
Subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up to date with what we do weekly, and we'll see you on our next book. Bye.